Hello and welcome to another episode on Sisi Africa. Today we are diving into a discussion on a very important yet often overlooked topic, men's mental health. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and today we want to dive in to understand what are some of the challenges that men face when it comes to mental health. Because we know in our society we often have certain ideals that we think men's mental health is. So we want to hear from these gentlemen here what they actually think their mental health is and how we can help them better cope with mental health issues in our society. So I gathered a young panelist of gentlemen from Ghana, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Nigeria. And today we are going to dive deep into this topic. We'll discuss why men's mental health is important, what are some of the stereotypes and challenges that men go through when it comes to mental health. And we'll also talk about what are some of the coping mechanisms that these young men and other young men can use to support themselves, and basically how can the rest of society help in this journey of men's mental health. Before we get started and dive deep into the discussion, I'd like us to first get to know each other. So gentlemen, if you don't mind, please give us an introduction of yourself, probably your name, where you come from, and maybe something interesting about yourself.
All right, so I would like to start. My name is Martin, just a data science and analytics student in this prestigious university, and I'm from Ghana. Yeah, just happy to be here to talk about one of these things that we face, and ladies feel like we don't even care about our mental health, but really we care. Sure.
Thank you for being here, Martin.
Ladies and gentlemen of my homeland of Kenya, Jambo. Hi to the rest of you all. My name is Anthony Minor. I am a man of many things, to be honest. If I start listing, we will not finish. So let's just say that I am representing the 254 today. Yeah.
The 254.
Yeah, and that is what is special about this thing. We are representing our country. We are also fighting for our country. So
Currently.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe.
Hi, thank you. After that passion, measuring up is difficult. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Aayanya Sabata, and I'm from Zimbabwe. An interesting fact is that people don't normally know that there are Sutus in Zimbabwe because they are normally found in South Africa and Lesotho. But I'm a Sutu from Zimbabwe. Yeah, thank you.
Sharp.
Sharp.
Yeah, hi. My name is Boluwadepe Ogumbanwo from Nigeria. And an interesting fact about me, I think I'm a very emotional person. Yeah.
We would like to know more about that as we dive deep. Would like to know more about his emotions as we go in. So let's just begin with the most basic first question that would actually bring us to get to understand why we are even doing this in the first place. So I would like to know, in your opinion, why do you think we're even talking about men's mental health? Like, why is it important to talk about men's mental health, and what does mental health mean to you as a man? Whoever wants to start. And since you have the mic.
Personally, I feel the reason why we're talking about men's mental health is definitely because we're in the mental health month, which we are celebrating men's mental health month, and two, I think is not talked about
No.
as it should be, and it's really unfair to men. It's unfair.
I agree with you. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
So it's really not talked about, but I think I am liking the opportunity that you're given to make us talk about men's mental health, and I really appreciate that for bringing me here.
Thank you for being here. Sabata, what do you have to say?
How interesting. I don't want to be controversial, but what I would start to say is maybe for some societies and maybe for some it's a metamorphosis of its own, but rather what we see is some societies are degrading or rather changing for some of them, and as they do so you start to realize certain roles start to change or evolve in a certain way, and as they do that, certain predetermined roles how men are supposed to act begin to change. And I think sometimes with that we come across what might be an identity crisis in a way, and that in its own way can also manifest as men it's mental health. Yeah, yeah.
Onto the controversial human being. I must, because you see, the thing about men's mental health is, they'll tell you that it's not fair that we're not talking about it. But at the end of the day, why it's not for these spaces, people don't care about men's mental health. If I text him today, I'll tell him, Bolux, how you doing? If he tells me I'm good, that's it. Because one, we've not been trained to understand that we have mental health as men.
Like you're a man, you're okay.
If you ask me how men operate, okay, let me say for me, I have obligations that must be done, whether I feel like doing it or I don't. There's things that need to be done at the end of the day. And my work is to ensure that they're done, whether I feel like doing it or I don't. So at the end of the day, men end up in a situation where you've done everything for everyone, your mom, your brother, your sister, you're looking out for everyone, but who's looking out for you? At the end of the day, who's asking you, how have you been? And who's there to listen? Because you see, there's a difference between if he asks me, how are you? Because we see each other every day, and him saying, Anthony, you don't look okay. Talk to me. Is there something going on? Yeah. You see, he agrees because he understands that people tell him, my brother, how are you today? You're good. And then it ends there. But the issue is deeper than that.
It doesn't go beyond.
I actually think men can communicate. This is a very controversial thing, but the space to communicate is not there.
It's not, you don't feel comfortable to communicate, so you'd rather keep it to yourself.
If you are a man right now, all these three men who are sitting here will understand that once you open up to the vulnerability, the possibility that it gets thrown back at you and gets weaponized against you in the society that we live, sadly. So it's quite unfortunate that men cannot be vulnerable. It's quite unfortunate that the social expectation on us is to be vulnerable and strong at the same time. Those two things do not work hand in hand. And man, if you're a man out there, shout out to you, man. You're doing a good job.
You're doing a good job.
There might be, everyone might be against you. Everyone's telling you how you're not it, or you're struggling, or you don't have money, or you don't have this, that. But at the end of the day, appreciate yourself.
All right, thank you so much for this opportunity, and also the fact that men are now the Joan of Arc here. That we're talking about men and our mental health and other stuff. Because I've been a science student for so long, I like to, perceive things from the scientific background of things. When you look at how men were created to be, when you read the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, you get to understand the nature and everything about men. That men are just solution oriented beings. They don't care about what happens when I have to get to the goal. They are very passionate about getting to the goal so that people know that they can get there.
As if like to prove yourself.
Very good. So when you are in a system having an environment where the environment perceive you as the solution or maybe the problem solver, how does the problem solver now comes to the environment? Because our expectation as members of the environment is to see you come with solution. How do you also come with a problem?
You can't become part of the
see,
problem.
it's a whole ball game. So yeah, that is it. So I think this is a very nice platform, and I'm hopeful that we all share a lot so that those men out there and all of us are able to know that in as much as there is a needle trying to close all the openings in a worn out garment, the needle also has an opening back there that is not closed. We get that? Yeah, so we should embrace the fact that men are emotional beings. So long as we are always stricken by the fact that we want to get to the goal, does not mean we also don't have this kind of emotions. We even sometimes suffer more than the ladies, because when a lady is going through those trauma, the best thing is to just fold her arms and put her head on your chest. She feels okay. But now, who are you going to, as a man? Are you going to also fold your arms and put your head on the lady's whatever? No. So it's a whole thing. Thank you so much.
Let me just add on to that. He said You see, for you ladies, if you have an issue, you'll call your best friend and then you'll cry and do all those things. When I have an issue, I look at my friends, and even them, they have issues. We're just laughing.
We will
Man.
insult you.
Like, because I'm trying to bring my problems to him, or to him, or to him, and he has his own problems. Who's solving his problems now that I want him to solve mine? That's the issue here. As you guys earlier said, the problem solver cannot now come with problems for you guys to solve. That is the paradox of the society we live in right now. And it's crazy, but men out here are still surviving. We're lonelier now more than ever. Yet social media is everywhere. You have, I don't know, 4 apps. You talk to people. You snap, TikTok, Instagram. But at the end of the day, me, I'm telling you, when 2 a.m. hits and I'm still awake, and there's no way I'm going to call anyone, because I don't have anyone to call. Because who am I going to call and start telling my problems?
Sure,
I would like to understand that more, because you say, like, you mentioned it, that like as a lady, if I have a problem, I can easily call my friend or talk to my friend. And women are open that way. Like, you can cry in front of them, say everything you want, they'll be like, oh girl, you'll be fine, all that stuff. But then men don't do that for each other. Like, do you guys do that for each other? Because you clearly said that you can't call your colleague man. Part of it is because they have their own problems. But don't you also think that men are not open enough to each other? Like, you are not allowing your colleagues, you're not open enough for your colleagues to feel like I can talk about it. Because, like, if as a man you go and talk to a colleague man that, you know, like, my girlfriend broke up with me, and then you want to cry and be emotional about, they're going to laugh at you. But whereas, you see, so how do you think that influences your ability to express yourself as a man, and what can men do to make yourselves a safe space for each other to actually express your emotions?
First of all, I'm going to turn on my people here. Because you see, the thing with men is we keep quiet knowing that there are people who can listen to us, right? I bet you have at least one person on your phone who you'll call and they'll listen. But on the flip side, even me, I have this thing where I don't like being a burden to people. Why is it that every time I want to call this guy, I'm telling him about my problems? Why is it that I can't call him to tell good news? You see, even you as a man, when someone keeps calling you, today they've called you, they want money. Tomorrow they've called you to take them to the hospital. The third day they've called you, they want you to do what for them. By the fourth day you are like, hey, wait. You see, so men are both the problem and the solution to all of this. Because you see, listening is not something hard to do. Sitting down and telling someone, okay, today Bolux has come, he's not feeling well, there's something going on, let's talk about it. But it's a two-way street. First, it needs trust.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I cannot just be telling my problems to anyone, but I cannot just wake up and then I've met this guy in a class and then I'm telling him, my wife beat me yesterday, I have a divorce, see what is going on. You see, I need to trust you as a man. I need to be, you need to give me the space to be vulnerable. It also needs you to meet each other at some point, you see? Yeah.
So what I'm getting is, men out there, you as men need to build like a safe space for your colleague men. Don't overlook, like, oh, he's a man, like, if he's going through a heartbreak, he should get over it like it's nothing. Men also have those emotions, and you yourself as a man, at some point you also go through that. So why not listen to your colleague man so that they can also listen to you when you are going through that? Let's hear from Gibbs. I think you have something to contribute to this.
Yeah, naturally, men, when you like ask for how do I put it? When you ask for
Help.
advice from your fellow man, it's just natural for you to like first keep to yourself. You don't want to disturb another person's like peace and all of that. You
don't want to be a burden. I don't want to.
You don't want to be a burden and all of that. So it's like you said, it needs like big trust for you to like for you to just speak out to your fellow man.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can't even tell if the person you are telling is not going to go and maybe backbite with another guy and tell him about your stuff and all. So I think it's very important for you to have someone you trust to be able to talk to and just express yourself.
All right. So what I would like to add to this is that number one, as I've already stated, that men, number one, don't want to look weak. If I want to share my stuff, people, how do people see him? Like, hey, this guy, this thing too easy, like just a breakup, and now you want to escalate, cry, and kill yourself. Like, how? You get it? But most importantly, we see a skyrocketing, domain of men committing suicide just because of emotional trauma and all this stuff. We realize that. And the second one is that there is this kind of scientific nature of man where men really heal faster than women when it comes to emotions. They can easily get over
Yeah.
because of what I have already stated, that they have a goal. So they have a lot of things to do, and one thing just break them down today. It does not mean they have to. Yeah, so the healing rate is quite faster than ladies. So they don't feel like, yeah, there's a need to share problems with other guys. Yeah. And another thing is, when you are broken, you want to put yourself together again and go further to either serve as a revenge to who broke you, or whatever, maybe to better yourself more than who you were before. Yeah, more effort. Yeah. So men use that as a point of improving themselves. In contrast, ladies will just now start looking for maybe another, like a lady who is broken by maybe whatever, a relationship which is just no more. The lady, number one, will try to find a guy who is better than you. Number two, cling to friends to heal very fast. And number three, dress in a way that she wasn't dressing when she was with you, to make you feel jealous and all this stuff. But men don't seek to that. Like, we don't resort to dressing because we know our style, and we don't. But one thing we want to do is, if I was this, I want to be that better guy than yeah before. So mostly it's not like a fault. I don't see it as a fault, but it depends on how that guy wants his life to be. Like, how I want to revolve around emotions. Because people, like somebody like me, what breaks me down is not a lady leaving me. What breaks me down is not anything than seeing someone in a very difficult situation. That is what breaks me a lot. I can be thinking for years. Do you get it? So men have a lot of positive, what do I say? It's like, they, when it comes to healing and when it comes to emotions, men are on the positive side, on the advantageous side than women. So we tend not to discuss a lot about what we are going through. But most importantly, some men also face some, devastating moments of, emotional trauma where they cannot really overcome. Very sure they cannot really overcome. And in that sense, they need to speak out. Like, you have to speak to somebody, you have to seek for help, you have to, don't be there and be bossing yourself like you will heal you. No, you can die. Even thinking alone is a, so you see men who are eating well, but they are not growing. Not me for sure, but then they are not growing. Some are just due to emotion, because the energy that the body needs to absorb the proteins or the fatty acids to make your protoplasm develop, everything is channeled to the brain. So you're always thinking, and in as much as you're thinking, there is no solution coming, because you have no one to. Sometimes you could just speak to someone, just a word, and you'll be healed. But men will not do that. So my advice to fellow men out there is that, just if things become overwhelming, just speak up. Your wife is there, even your kids are there. Yeah, you might see them as maybe young girls or guys, but at least they are also in a level where they can also offer some advice. And for you to even be sure that your children or your wife those guys are there for you. It's just one part of the healing process. Yeah. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Sabata, can you please tell us? I think we've mentioned some of these things already about stereotypes that we presume about men's mental health. I think things like, oh, you are okay, you are supposed to be the solution, and all that. What other stereotypes do you think we have about men that are not true? And then, how does this influence men's ability to like express themselves emotionally or seek mental health support?
First, before I answer the stereotypes, I would like to put in what they've actually said.
Yeah.
Is there's a friend of mine, shout out to Fortune. We once had a discussion, and he told me that you nowadays have a degradation in families whereby the extended family is now disintegrating and is now becoming more of a what? Nuclear family. Now, if you notice becoming a nuclear family, yes, you might be comfortable with your father, but actually there are some conversations that you'd find yourself you can't have with your father, but you can have with your uncle. You understand? Yeah. So I think what happens when you then remove
The
those
only
sides,
nuclear, only mom, dad.
exactly, you distance yourself from those uncles who can give you
You don't have
what?
that extra support.
Yes. So I think that puts you in a bit an unsteady, situation. Yeah. Now, as for the stereotypes for men, I think I think many of the stereotypes that we already know, like men are supposed to be strong, men are supposed to be the foundation. I'll keep on digesting more with this because it's a whole big.
I want to
thing.
ask this, like we've spoken about crying when your girlfriend breaks up. Do men cry? Like I want to know, like do men cry? I know it's a vulnerable thing to talk about, but like let's be honest about it. Do men cry, and is it okay for a man to cry? And if a man is crying, how should women respond to that? Since it's something that nobody wants to talk about. Okay, Sebastian.
Men do cry, and truth be told, and when that happens, whatsoever lady is there in the presence of that man, know that lady is blessed, because in order for a man to allow himself to feel that, it means you're someone incredible. Yeah. So men do cry. Yeah.
Good to know.
My thoughts on it are, any man who can cry, whether in the presence of a lady or not, is first of all strong enough to admit that where I am right now, I don't have the strength to continue. I am outweighed. Things are not going my way. I need to take a step back and give myself a break. Because what leads men to cry? You see, when you're born as a man, there's something called social expectations. You walk into a billion social expectations. As a man this, as a man that, you shouldn't this, you shouldn't that, you should say this, you should wear that, you should.
Crazy.
It's like you have no freedom to just be you.
Your life was already designed for you.
This hair that I have right now, it is very contradictory to the people of my culture. Exactly. And I'm like, what does hair have to do with me being a man? Me being a man is what is inside my head. It has nothing to do with my external appearance and all that, you see. And men who cry are really men who know themselves. You need a serious amount of introspection to sit down and then say, okay, me as Anthony, where I'm at right now, things have gone haywire. There's nothing I can do. Because there reaches a point, if no matter how much you want men to be strong, there are things that are above us. There are problems we can't solve. And we are not, it's not nice to say that we are not supported, but anytime someone sees a man cry, the reaction is negative, not positive. So as a man, even when you're growing up as a young boy, you learn to not cry in front of people. Yeah, it's that simple. As a child, I've not seen my father cry. I think it's a very shocking thing that I've not seen him cry.
Yeah, I've just realized.
Because this man, I have, since I was born, I took all my problems to this man. All, even if I stabbed my toe right now, I was going, Dad, my toe. You see, what about him?
Who will he go to?
To add on to that, I cry.
Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you.
Yeah, and I think that too is depends on where you find yourself. Um, Personally, I'm lucky to have people around me, most especially my parents, who like they are open, like they have opened their two hands for me to be able to be very vulnerable.
Giving you that safe
Yeah,
space.
that safe space to be very vulnerable and just speak out and just tell them anything. My dad is an emotional person. My mom, she is, but I think she's stronger. Yes, but my dad is an emotional person, and I think I picked that from him. And for him to be able to talk to me to some extent and let out his emotion, I see my dad like cry. Yes, I've seen him do that, and I once he does that, there's nothing I can do. I also have to cry. I also have to cry. But at the end of the day, we pick up ourselves and
Yeah, sure.
talk to each other and just encourage each other. You get, and that's also what my mom does. And shout out to my mom. She had given me
What's
that
her
tip.
name?
Olugbe Mishala.
Olugbe Mishala.
Yeah,
That's it, right?
yeah. So she had given me
Shout
that
out,
safe,
shout out to you.
safe space, safe environment to be able to like express myself and make sure that no matter what, it's okay for you to cry. And crying doesn't mean you're weak. It just gives you like strength, more strength to be able to like express yourself and pick up yourself back. So yeah, and another person who like I can do that to is definitely my girlfriend, and she's one of a million. Yeah, for real, because that's the only person I can also like. Not that I can also. That's the only person who has seen me like also cry, and for me to get to that point of crying in front of her, I've I've definitely held it, like held it, trying to fight the thing in my head, like no, I can't do that. I can't. But it get to a point I can't hold it again. So I just break down, and the fact that she has always been there to like show me on and just not take that advantage. Nah, that's something that's very rare, and I really appreciate that.
There is two things that Giff spoke about that it's really important, and I'm so glad that something like this came up. So you spoke about family, and the other thing is relationship.
Yeah.
So he has a supportive family that has given him a safe enough space to express his emotions as a man, which a lot of men don't. A lot of men, actually, your father, you can cry in front of your father. A lot of young guys can't even cry in front of their fathers because they're going to be like, "You're a man, like why are you doing this?" Like, so they can't give you that space. But your family, you are so blessed that your family has given you that.
Yeah.
And what I will say to any man watching this video, whether you are still young as this or you have a family, because eventually you would have a family, is to create that safe space for your male children to be able to express themselves. Because if we keep complaining that, oh, men cannot, men themselves have to start creating that space for their children, right? And their friends and their brothers. And women also have to come in, and that's where your mother comes in, and relationships also come in. It's very good that you have a girlfriend who is actually open to this, because I know some men might not want to cry in front of their girlfriend because then they feel like after this she would perceive me as weak. She might use it against me or something like that. And it's very like interesting and good that even after crying in front of your girlfriend, she's still okay with it, and like you guys are happy together. This is a shout out to the girls out there. I'm just going to say, from a girl to a girl, it's okay for a man to cry in front of you. Like Sabata said, it means that this guy values you enough, respects you enough, trusts you enough to actually cry in front of you. So don't perceive this as a weakness. This is the epitome of trust and the epitome of being vulnerable and actually still being strong, because you don't know the aftermath of this, but this man is still willing to express themselves in front of you. So let's take this as a chance to reflect upon this and then give men a chance when they are emotional.
Something.
Yeah.
All right. We've spoken a lot, and I like what is coming up. In fact, I'm so happy about men's, emotional whatever awareness that we are talking about. Um, One thing I would like to say is this: there is this myth that real men, not just men, real men don't cry, and in a way, I will not discredit it because it's like this: when you have a father who does not understand the fact that crying is part of the healing, what happens is that you are like you are twins, or maybe your father has a lot of males, and you are the one who cries a lot. Everything you want to complain, everything you want to cry, and all this stuff. What happens when there is time for someone who is brave enough and strong to take over your dad? Even if you are the eldest, it will be a very serious dilemma between choosing you and those young ones who are pretty stronger than you. You get that? So, in a way, you could possibly agree up to maybe 40% that real men don't cry because this world is unfair. Yes, this world is unfair. When it comes to reality, people, especially even us, when you're given something or when there is a difficult task for someone to carry out, you wouldn't look for someone who likes crying, who will come to you and in any way be crying. How is he going to translate that kind of nature to the work that he's going to do? You see, you find like you are just risking your resources or something. But one thing I would like to say is that um, in science there is a reaction somewhere, and this reaction takes in variables and puts out variables out there. What do I mean? What I mean is this: for someone to cry, that is a reaction or an action. There should be an entry, an input, right? That is pain. Pain enters the body, and the reflex action is for you to cry. And when you cry, what happens? Tears come out, and since something has entered and there has been a reaction, there should be an output. So the pain came in as an input, and the body was not happy with that input. So the body reacted, and there should be an output, and that output is the pain which is going out in the form of tears. So we should be very empirical when it comes to this stuff to understand that pain is not an element of the body. It's an intruder. It's like a disease. And the only way to get it out of your body is to react. And the reaction comes in a whole lot. And the first reaction is to cry. And the tears coming out, those waters you're shedding, are what the things that are removing the pains that's entered. So healing, actually, the main point of healing is crying. That's why when you go to psychologists and all this stuff, when you have just lost an immediate person very close to you, what they do is take you to a very whatever room, shout, cry, just for you to heal. That is the first point of healing before we now progress onto the other stuff of your lifestyle, what you can do to improve yourself. So men out there should take this advice that crying does not mean you're weak. It does not devalue your manhood, or it does not add or subtract anything from your personality. It actually means, as my brother said, that you are self-aware, you know yourself, and you admit nature that human beings are not, we're not created to be perfect, or we are not perfectionists. Do you get that? You can only evaluate a machine, a machine's efficiency and all that. Yeah, but human beings, we don't evaluate our efficiency because we are emotional beings. How do you evaluate? Because by the time I'm acting, there are so many factors in place that you can't really determine. Do you get it? So it's a very big deal when it comes to men's mental health and all this stuff. But the thing is also, to the ladies out there, as my brother said, that he's having a supportive system that is backing him up. That could even be the reason why you are here today, because it's made you feel very comfortable and you try to improve yourself every now and then. I don't think any subtle thing will make you cry again until maybe you find something which is greater than what happened to you before. So we also pleading our mommies out there, our girlfriends out there, our sisters and whatever. When we come to you, please receive us and help us, heal, because we aren't AI bodies. We are human bodies, and we need that kind of emotional support. In as much as you also need one from us. Thank you so much.
I think we need to allow everyone to cry, not just men, women. Where we're at in life, I think we're too considerate about division instead of each other. Feminists, sijui masculine men, sijui nini. Just be concerned about your neighbor. Touch him and tell him, hey, my brother, how you doing? Is life okay? If he opens up to you, good for him, good for you. You've built a bond. You were talking about crying in front of women. You see, speaking from the point of someone who will not do it, I'm coming from a point of I've seen what it can do to men.
Okay.
You see, I understand that vulnerability is a good thing. Yeah, I understand that there are ways that I can tell you about my problems. Crying is not one of them. I maybe have taught myself to not cry to the point where I can't. You see, he was in he was in an environment that allowed him to cry. Me, I was in an environment where things happen and I'm like, what? what are we going to do? You see, even if he cries, he'll cry right now, but by the time tomorrow morning reaches, if he's a strong man, if he's indeed a strong man, he'll have cried and picked himself back up and put himself back together and gone out into the world. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how much you like to say men this, men that, men are looked at from what value you bring. It is sad, but that is the truth. If you want to know how much value he has, you look at his pocket. That is the saddest
Bank statement.
And me, I am aware that this matters. So you see, the sad thing about our society is we value money more than each other. So what most men end up doing is saying, me being one of them, is saying that I'll get rich first and then we'll sort these things out later. But what I have realized, and I am really grateful for having realized this, is you'll use this money to run away. Men are very good at running away. Let me not lie to you. With these men out here, men are very emotional beings. Don't be lied to. They just act like they don't feel it, but inside, deep inside, they are feeling everything. But they can choose to act that way to preserve their character. Maybe if I am weak in this situation, you see, I don't know if I cry next to you, whether you'll go telling people, hey, Anthony is a crybaby. Hey, one small thing happens, he's crying all over. You see, so as someone who has looked at society for what it is, me, I will not cry in front of women. I can't lie to you. I will cry, but not in front of women, because I understand crying is important. Who I cry to might not be important. I will still talk to people. It's just that act of crying, I have seen what it is capable of doing, you see. So I will detach from that one. And let me now speak into my personality. I have this thing, he mentioned that when a problem happens, you tend to take a step back to think about things. I think almost all men function like that, because sometimes you're in a situation and you need to understand what is going on. Something has happened and you're like, I wasn't ready for this. No one prepared me for this.
It's a shocker.
You're just there like, you see. But me as a person, I tend to isolate a lot, and this is coming from a point of I'm learning my behaviors and trying to unlearn so that I have a good enough life to, be able to express myself. Because in as much as people don't talk about it, expression is important. He has talked about the effects of pain leaving your body. Men are in serious pain and you're just bottling up, and it's not good for you. We need to truly tell our men that even if you want to be strong, Baba, even if you want to be strong, my elder brother, my younger brother, my boyfriend,
father.
my cousin, whoever, vulnerability will set you free.
Honestly, I agree with that because, like, mostly when I'm in any sort of emotional breakdown, the first thing I do is I cry, and when I cry, I feel better. It's like when you are sick. I don't know if you guys experience it, but when you are sick and you feel like vomiting, and after you vomit, you actually feel better. I have that, and when I'm also emotional, when I cry, I feel better. I really just feel like it's a physiological thing as much as it's emotional. Yeah, and I want to talk about okay before I go.
Thank you. He talked about something. He said that, Minor, you spoke about not seeing your father cry. And I think not seeing your father cry and also seeing him cry would be also a huge shock.
It would be
Because I was also in a similar situation whereby there's this person, we talk about expectations. For me, luckily, maybe luckily, I would say, last born, right? Last born, I don't think I've ever felt too much pressure. You understand? So, what has happened instead? I've done that thing to other people whereby there's someone I look up, they are the foundation, they're a rock. You understand? And then there's this one time that the person that I expected to be the rock, to be the foundation, they came up to me and that rock was shaking. Do you know it shook me? Because I was like, what? If this rocket, if this, exactly, if this rock and foundation can shake,
Who are you?
oh yeah, you understand? You understand? And I think that changed the outlook, because I've also been in a situation where I've experienced both the vulnerability and the side of holding myself up, right? And holding myself up happened after I experienced a loss, right? Yeah, very close relative, sibling, right? And so what happened was that I bottled that thing up. You understand? And you don't realize it. Even yourself, that's the thing. You don't realize it until some event happens which triggers that, and then it just explodes. You understand? And trust me, bottling those things up is so deadly. Because by the time you crack down, it's like you're at the height.
It's like a bomb exploding.
Yeah, you are
You
from
can't
the
even
top,
stop it.
and then you're
Just
going down.
as
Yeah.
a man, if you crash out, ask any of them. There's a time you feel like it's like you are disabled, like everything is gone wrong. You don't even. You wake up and you're battling with your head to get out of the bed. Like you've opened your eyes like this. It is 7 in the morning. You'll still have to get out of that bed.
Yeah.
It is, you don't have that choice of that. Today I can sleep in. Most men don't give themselves enough grace. That's another thing. Because
Give yourself the grace. You deserve it.
he said that he bottled it up. It's funny that bottling up is the bad thing, but it's the easier thing to do. Because when something
You're
happens,
not expected to express your emotions, so you'd rather.
exactly. When you're looking at your father, if your father starts crying, you've seen, he said, when your father is crying, even you cry. And for you to be in a situation where someone you look up to is vulnerable, needs you to be very aware. You need to be very aware that vulnerability is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You need to understand that, okay, this needs to happen. As we like skipping that, men treat themselves like cars and robots. You put all your energy and effort, but at the end of the day, you're not looking up for yourself. You're just doing things because, when you're a man, you get into this world, there's responsibilities already. So you should look after your brother. Look at me, I'm a firstborn, him is a lastborn. Me, I can tell you there's things I've seen that, or his elder siblings will have seen that he has not seen. There's wars that we've had to fight that he has not fit. Even parents change as they parent your children. My youngest sibling right now, my youngest sister, has not been beaten the way us used to. Us used to be beaten seriously, ban. You see, so you can't expect me, my mother has just whooped my ass over there, and then I'm coming and telling her, Mom, I also have this. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's simply like that. So men need to be given the space to be vulnerable. In as much as we are talking about not even men and women, we need to allow ourselves to be vulnerable. You need to be okay with seeing your father cry. Why? Because once you're okay with that, even you
yourself,
cry.
you can cry. Yeah.
You'll realize that okay, life is hard. Things have happened that are beyond my control, even though men don't like accepting that things can be beyond their control. So you also need to learn to accept that, and you also need to learn that once you've put in your best foot forward, there's not much
You
can
can't
do.
control everything.
You can't do everything.
Yeah.
You're not the start and end of things. Opportunities come and go.
There's something that you mentioned about you not crying in front of a woman, and I want to talk about this because a minute ago we discussed some things that show that men are part of the problem because we are not allowing each other to express our emotions, and then that also brought up a factor that women are part of the problem because women are also not allowing men to express themselves in front of them. I really understand that point because in my Senex class, there was this guy, so we're talking about men and women, all those things, emotions. And then he was so emotional about it. He said, like, he cried in front of girls and it has never been the same. Like, they perceive
It's
him
true.
a different way, they disrespect him. And he said it's not once. Like, he was so emotional about it that I was like, who hurt this guy, honestly?
Exactly what I said. It's very rare, very, very rare for you to see a woman who takes you for who you are as a man.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare. So you have to like be careful of where you let your emotion, like where you like just hands down, be vulnerable. You get, because let not go into that.
It's
But-
rather unfortunate.
so but that's the most important thing is those kind of women are very rare.
Yeah.
You get, because the way women react, they tend to keep things together, and when you make a mistake,
Stop bringing it all on
uh-huh,
that time you did.
so when you make a mistake, that's when they remember that,
You cried.
you cried in front of me. And they'll use it
It's
against
not a
you.
safe space. That's what we are saying. The space is just, today I might be crying, telling you how my mother's did what in my childhood. Now I'm not able to love you well enough. And then tomorrow I'm waking up, the whole school knows about it. Because you are mad at me because I didn't send you a good morning text. And I'm like, hey, wait. You see, it's not easy.
I think this is a call to the women out there. Like, if you're a woman, a lady, a mother, a
Even a
sister, a
man.
boyfriend, a girlfriend, a what, listening to this, please, let's take this very important. Because, like we always say, men bottle things up because the only reason why they resort to bottling up, because I think one of you mentioned that is the easy way, but
Yes,
it's a bad way, but it's the easy way, because the expressing the emotion part, you don't even trust the person. You are not sure if you are safe enough to do it. You are not sure if to come back to you. So if we start making safe enough spaces for men to actually express themselves and not feel they will later be attacked by it, then they would be able to express themselves. And talking about bottling up, I want us to talk about some of the coping mechanisms that men can use to overcome all these things instead of bottling it up. Because, like you said, when you bottle it up, you explode, and that explosion can come in a form of suicide, because men are like three times more likely to commit suicide compared to women, and that is rather unfortunate because men bottle up and then they don't talk to it to anyone. And then when they can't take it anymore, they take drastic measures. So, what are some of the ways that you think men can use, or you have personally used as a man, to cope with stress and basically mental health issues, manage your emotions, stuff like that?
Let me start. So for me, mine is don't take my advice. Why I say that is I'm still learning. I can't say I'm at a point where I can tell you what to do, because everyone's situation is different. Me, from my situation, I understand that when my mental health is in danger, the first thing I do is isolate. I don't want to talk about my problems. Why? I don't want to burden you with my problems. I'm okay with dealing with
isolation.
Yeah, so me, I'll take a step back.
But
You won't see me.
Doesn't isolation lead to bottling it up, or do you express it when you are isolated?
Now you see, that's where you need to be very conscious, because you see, isolation could very quickly lead you into other things.
Yeah,
You could very quickly just sit in
Drink
it.
or smoke.
Yeah,
or take drugs.
you could. You see, and the thing with the world is there's 1,000,000,001 ways it'll show you how to mask your problems. You know, women, alcohol, nini nini. You're just putting on a show for yourself. You're not dealing with the problem. But for me, it's a conscious decision. I'll isolate first.
It's like your system you built.
Yeah, I'm trying to build it to understand. Okay, so this is the problem. Let's say the problem is I've not been supported by anyone, or I don't have friends.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to understand the problem first, and then say, okay, where I am now, what can I do? Because if I sit in that problem and then I start sulking and then I start getting consumed by things that don't make sense, you'll find that I'll be in a position where it's in the morning and I don't want to wake up. I don't have motivation for anything. Why? Because I refuse to deal with my own problems. And that's why we are even having a big crisis of mental health to begin with. Because we got to a point where you're just sitting with it. You're doing nothing about it. You need to be aware that even you today, there are problems you've gone through. There are challenges that you've gone through today. And you need to, at the end of the day, sit down and say, okay, so this happened and this happened and this happened. I feel heavy about this, and give
your
yourself
approach
grace.
is more like a self-introspection. You go through everything and then you think about it. What can I do better?
Yeah, because I have reasons for that. One is the manipulation of society. I've been in situations where I've been vulnerable, and it has put me in more trouble than it was going to bring. You see, so sometimes I sit down and say, this problem has nothing to do with you. It's my problem, right? So I can find a way to deal with it. And it's the boundary between I should talk and I should not, I should deal with it, is a very thin line. It's a very, very thin line, because you're human. You don't know your capabilities. You might say that this thing I can handle, but you don't know if you can. So it is important to find ways of expressing yourself. I like sports. Sports is my outlet. Sports is the way you go and sweat your pain out. Yeah, but it might not. That might be for me. Might not be for you. So you need to sit down and understand yourself as a man. As a man, you've been degraded by society. Everything, everyone, all systems are against you. So you need to understand that you need to be on your side. Because if you are against
yourself,
this whole thing is a catastrophe. So you sit and say, okay, I am like this. This works for me. This does not. And you move with what works for you. It's that simple.
Okay, personally, from experience, I would say, number one, I think I have like 3 to 4 coping mechanisms, and number one is speaking out. Yeah, speaking out, because back then in 2021, yeah, 2021, if I'm not wrong, that was actually the darkest phase of my life, and it made me learn a lot. It really like broke me, and I just needed to, like, I think that was the time I discovered like a lot about myself, and speaking out was one thing that stood out for me, and yeah, that one particularly, I did that a lot, definitely with my parents, and they were there to um like advise me, just check up on me anytime, to like just know how I'm feeling. So yeah, I would say that particularly made me like feel um at home. Like I was feeling very at peace, because I had someone to like talk to, and I went through this phase of my life for like 9 months, and I was always indoors, always hiding from people. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Okay, yeah, friends too. My friend, okay, I'm also blessed to just have like few of my friends. Like those friends I'm talking about, I call them my brothers because they are, yeah, they're there when I was like really down, and that made everything easy for me to be able to like yeah, yes, very important. And the second one is being self-aware of what you what who you are, what you're going through, and and how you want to like get out of it. What way do you want to do to like, what are you doing like to be able to like get out of it? And self-aware and accountability to work hand in hand, because you have to be very accountable for any of your action. You have to be very accountable for any of your actions. So when you are self-aware and you are accountable to anything you do, then I think it's easy for you to navigate your way through like the depression or anything you might be going through. And another one that helped me a lot is working out. Like working out, you have to when coming to Kenya, when I had to like leave Nigeria to come to Kenya, and I was still going through it. I was still going through it, but I was just I'm someone who just positive minded. You get, so I always like just encourage myself with anything. I'm always just positive about anything I do. So coming here, I saw, okay, fine, I needed to change environment. Yeah, I changed environment, and what do I need to do to like put the past behind me? And I saw, oh, I think this is what I need to do. And I play basketball, and I wanted to play basketball, but I saw it might clash with my class schedule and all of that, and I didn't want to like compromise. So I said, let me start working out and all of that. And I was doing that consistently, and before I knew it, I was like getting much more better. You get, so that's very important. I okay, for me personally, that has worked for me, like exercise, working out, and all of that. So yeah, I think that's my coping mechanism.
All right. You want to go before? All right. So, looking at coping mechanism, one thing I always say is that they c- they cannot be, what do you call it, solution without a cause. So, how do we look at it? How do we solve this problem without knowing where the problem is coming from? It will be very difficult to look at it, yeah, from just the eruption stage, but not from what it made it erupt. So one thing is, we were talking about self-esteem, and this is how I see it. Men or women become broken not because of maybe what they have lost out of a relationship or whatever. But one thing is, number one, they are made to believe that they are not worth it. They don't feel their personal worth. Their self-esteem is being diminished, and because of that, one major thing that causes emotional trauma is just self. If you don't know yourself, your self-esteem is very low. That thing kills more than anything.
Yeah.
Do you get that? Yeah. So I think for people to actually acknowledge the fact that they are worth anything they want, and whatever they lose is just physical. So long as they've not lost themselves, their life,
Yeah.
they are still worth whatever they want to get in life. And the second thing is that you talked about accountability. I'm just deriving inference from whatever we have said here. I have not really gone through a lot, so my experiences are just down there. So I'm just uh-huh, realizing things from here. Because of my data science, we make analysis and
Yeah.
we
So
derive
you're
some
analyzing the
inferences. I'm
conversation.
analyzing, yeah, analyzing.
That's great.
So for your accountability, I'll be stochastic here because accountability takes time. Why? Because if you're not really accountable, like with time, you spend a lot of your time with people rather than what could make you better. So you lose that person and you feel like you've lost time that you could use, utilize
Done
very
something
well.
else with it.
That is what makes people heartbroken a lot, because mostly it's not about you were used, or you also use the person. You were there. We all enjoy together, right? Yeah. But the main issue is the time that you were not really accountable of. You just spent your time anyhow. Meanwhile, maybe your GPA is at stake, whatever is at stake. You could have done something better for your sister. Your sister needed you in that time. You were just enjoying with.
On that
You
person.
see, accountability. It's also another issue. Now, coming to the coping mechanism, things happen. So whenever it happens, emotionally, feel them. Let it just have the effect on you. Feel them, but get time to understand them. If you don't understand the situation, you can never get to the root of it and you can never solve it.
Yeah.
Just feel it, understand it. Now, after understanding everything, I would like to say, when it happens like fresh, when it is still in its initializing state, what you do is, number one, take just a deep breath. Take a lot of water. From there, try to smile or laugh. Just laugh and smile. Yes, there are some things you might find it.
Take it till you
If
make it.
yes, like with the moment the laughter comes or the smiles come,
You feel like that.
you feel like you have solved something. Yes, just try to laugh or smile. And the second thing is, don't be swift in taking action. Don't react, don't act. Don't be swift, because whenever you are broken or you are in a very difficult situation relating to emotions, whatever action or reaction you take will be like very negative.
Yeah.
You can never do something profitable, like something advantageous to you, your health and everything, and even the surrounding you are in. Whatever you do will be very, very devastating and disgusting to people. Just relax, don't act swiftly. And the other thing is, before you even, like the way we are discussing things here, if you are out there and you're listening right now, just write things you like, things that makes you happy before the trauma comes. Yes, it is very
You
serious.
can read them when you're
Read them, because you don't get traumatized before you look for something that will
Yeah.
make you happy.
Yeah.
Write them as you are happy there. Write all of them. Yes, so that when it happens, you know where to seek your comfort from.
Yeah.
Not everyone seeks emotional, support from others. Like the way my brother was saying, you don't necessarily go to someone, or you don't want someone to come to you before you feel okay. People even feel disgusted when they see people coming to them because they are in that situation.
Yes.
But find that particular thing which could be inanimate. You get it? That will make you happy before the trauma comes. So that by the time it happens, oh, me, I have a coping. You even knowing that you have a coping mechanism is a healing.
Yeah.
One part of the healing. Another thing is, don't think a lot. Don't think a lot. When you are in a problem, like emotionally, don't think a lot.
It's very hard to do.
Yes, don't think a lot. Overthinking will make you. It will weaken you. And the more you think, the more, yeah, that those bad, I thoughts set in. And don't forget, Satan is also at work. Sometimes you don't fiction, like science does not really believe this kind of whatever, but it's true. The more you think, they add on. Why did I even do this? That is
I feel
what
like even
someone.
biologically, I read something that there's like a
Mhm.
feedback loop. So the
Very
more you
good.
think about something, the more your brain creates thoughts for you to think
For
more.
you.
Oh yeah, the more your brain creates chemicals that make you want to think more about it. Then you think more about it. Then you want to think more. So keep on going and
Someone
going.
who started a happier life, laughing always, is always happy.
Yeah.
And her or his or her face
Yeah.
always shows that kind of smile.
Yeah, it's the feedback
But
loop,
someone
yeah.
who started from a very intimidating family where you are always frowning, like you see the face, you could possibly infer that this guy is coming from this particular side. Do you get it? So when you are in such situations, after you doing the initial thing of drinking a lot of water, trying to laugh and all those stuff, one thing is don't think a lot. You could possibly have a sleep. But in most times of trauma, you can't sleep because of the thinking.
Yeah, the brain
You
is
just have
so
to
active.
live where you are because isolation is just a substitute for thinking. Isolation.
If you're not strong as this man, don't do
Yeah.
isolation, because when you're isolated, the
Isolation.
more you start thinking.
Now he's thinking he's strong.
Yeah.
A situation, it depends on what you have gone through.
True.
It depends on what you have gone through because some situations are
Overstretch your
of that, you know,
threshold, and you're like,
when you meet that threshold, that limit, there is no way that you could say I am strong. You cannot be strong when it comes to those stuff. Yes. So I would like to advise people out there that just like you said, nature walk, just take a stroll and be walking. Yeah, just find a couple of friends, be talking about a game or share memories. You see memories like, hey, when we were in high school, this, that. By the time you realize, you have even forgotten whatever you went through. And I think from what I have learned here, this is my input as to how to cope with.
wow, that was amazing.
That was amazing, man.
We really did the data analysis.
That was amazing, man. It's so incredible. Now, my brother said that he's accounting. He does accounting, so he thinks more in statistical. He likes to put input in statistical terms. For me, I'm more theatrical, so I like things related to writing. And there's this excerpt from a book that I once read, very good book. It says that water, more than any other substance in the world, contains an echo of the music of the Ainu. Now, for fans that know this is from The Lord of the Rings, is an author called Tolkien, right? Now, when he speaks about the Ainu, they're basically like angels in a way, music. You know, I said music of the Ainu. So, keep in mind, all of these guys spoke about working out, right? We've covered crying, right? Workout and crying, right? Now, yes. Now think about it. The one factor that connects all these things is what? Water, right? There is something, yes.
Something comes out in the form of water.
Yes. There is something very powerful about water, right? Either you drink it in, you let it out. Even you see, even during baptism, it's very, very powerful, right? So I would say,
Before you continue, like, you know how, like, I don't know, but like back at home in funerals, when people are crying, they give them water to drink and then wash their faces and then they stop crying. So it's the water. Okay.
So, I would first talk about my own experience when it comes like an outlet. My first outlet is, they've already covered it, workout. If I go and do something, especially I like playing tennis. You know, I'm not Roger Federer, I'm not Nadal, but there's just something about tennis that makes my mind have to learn and do so much. So it's like because of the focus of the game and what I have to do, I end up, my mind loses the focus of that thing that was gripping it, right? Yeah. And then secondly, it's music. Remember, I also spoke about music, right? Music comes in so many variations, but one thing I can agree is that it carries so much power because it can elevate you. In fact, not just talking about in terms of elevation, we already know that music can also is another way that can get you hooked on some other
I saw
things.
this thing that, like, our brains work with waves. So like, if you play music at a certain wavelength and stuff like that, it can actually influence your emotions.
Exactly. And I'll make an example for some of those people that have watched the movie Sinners and what it talks about in relation to music, what music can do, what it invokes, right? For
Even the
my
Odyssey, you know, the lady was singing, and then these people get captivated, basically hypnotizing people through like music.
Yeah, for me, music is healing in a way. I'm in a situation, either I'm overthinking, I go there and I put on music, and there's a way it also washes the sound, just washes out any other thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say, and also, I think it's very critical. Each and every person is different in a way. So find your own center. You understand? Find your balance, find your own center. Yeah.
You know, this conversation, I thought it was going to be like 30 minutes max, and we are like way ahead of that. It just means that this is a topic that we haven't spoken about enough. So there's just so much to talk about. There's just so much coming out. And like, just also, I'm really grateful to you gentlemen here, because like I didn't really expect that it would be this depth, because there's a lot of personal experience, there's a lot of, you know, reflection on it. Like, you actually spoke your heart out, which is something I'm really glad about. And just to wrap it up, also, if you have any last words, we're already beyond time, but if you have any last words, you can just keep it short, that you want to say out there to other young men, or to the women out there, to anybody out there, that you just want to say your last words. We can do that. Yeah.
Gentlemen out there, it's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay. Yes.
Yeah, very
That's the
important.
theme. Sabata, you have anything to tell us?
Nothing much, but I would just love to say thank you for this opportunity, for this chance here to connect. Also, with some of the words that I had, some of the wisdom that I had today was incredible. Yeah, and I hope for the and I hope for the viewers, they also experience the same thing. Also, yeah.
Okay, one thing I would like to say is that if you are watching or like listening to all of us, we've said a lot, but please build on your self identity. Very important. Build on your self identity. 90% of the healing process, it's pinned on how well you know yourself and how well you trust yourself rather than any other thing. So self identity and self esteem is one major factor when it comes to emotional, intelligence and all this stuff. Thank you. Yeah.
Wrap it up for us. The 254.
I have some things. So there's a concept called pathologization, where you decide that I am depressed. So people need
diagnose yourself.
Yes, it's self-diagnosed. I've just used a big word.
Yeah.
So first of all, statistically, self-diagnosis is not the best thing, because one problem could mask as another. Something could turn up as something it is not. You see, so you need to be, as he said, very self-aware. Very self-aware. You also need to realize happiness is a choice. No matter what anyone tells you, it is your choice to either sit in the sorrows of the world, because the sorrows of the world are there and they are going nowhere. If you decide to look at this world for its bad, so many things.
There are so many bad things that you can be sad about.
Humans are not good people. They've not been doing good things. But you need to realize that at the end of the day, it is you and you. This is a you journey. Your life is about you. So take happiness as your choice. Just the same way you can wake up when you're feeling sad, wake up when you're feeling happy. And to my people of the 254, Ruto must go. Yes.
You heard him.
I had to. It is my obligation.
Yeah, by the way,
Citizen.
Kenyan youth are doing a protest right now, so shout out to all the youth.
It is because we have sat down and looked at this whole thing, the system lacks accountability. We need change. We need things that work now.
All across Africa. I'm not even just saying Kenya. Most African countries really need change.
Yes.
We need change. And Kenyan youth are like, they are showing us the way. Like, these people they are not afraid of anyone. They go out and protest for their rights. Shout out to all the young people in Kenya that are fighting for your rights. We really stand behind you.
Kendrick Lamar released an album called Good Kid, Mad City. And that's what happened here. We realized that this thing is not for us. It is not.
Yeah.
These guys, right now, we have issues that, I should not be at a point where I'm discussing taxes at my age. For me to be
young
this
for that,
exactly,
right?
that is my point.
Yeah.
But it is important that we have spaces like this. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, Mabila, for this space.
My pleasure.
I have learned so much from you guys. At least I've met someone who is, crying has worked. So maybe I can try. You see, maybe I can now say, okay, I go to my family people back there and I tell them, hey, you guys, I've discovered
with proven evidence.
it is possible. But to my men out there, first of all, shout out to all of you. You're trying, you're doing something. Be very accountable. As a man, accountability is a very valuable skill set. If I say I'm going to walk through that door, I need to make sure that I walk through that door, even for my own personal happiness. Just to give back to self. So that
it's like there's this kind of gratification when you actually accomplish it.
And you need to realize that in as much as you want to give everyone, you also need to give to self.
True.
A wise person from back in the day when I was still a child told me that you cannot give from an empty cup.
You can't.
So fill your cup up first. Appreciate
financially,
yourself.
emotionally, physically, everythingly.
Make sure that you've got
You feel
yourself first, so that you can go out into the world and start supporting people. That's my message.
So this has been so wonderful. Like, I'm beyond words. I don't know what to say, and I'm just going to leave you by mentioning some of the key things that we've ended up with as coping mechanisms real fast. Number one, reflect on yourself. Make sure that you understand what's going on, you understand your problem and how you can solve it. Build a system. So have a supportive system, whether that's friends, whether that is isolating and writing it down, or whatever your system works for
is
you.
dangerous.
It's dangerous. He said don't do it unless
I started by saying don't
take my advice. But basically build a system that works for you. Your system can be taking nature walks, your system can be going to the gym, or your system can be taking, doing a sport or listening to music. But basically understand what works for you by understanding yourself. That's where we come to self-awareness. You need to first understand yourself, then you can even understand what works for you. Also have things that you enjoy doing, things that you like doing, that when you're even in a stressful situation, when you start doing them, you can feel better. Write it down when you can, put it down on paper, put the problem down and how you can solve it. It solves it halfway through. And then have physical activity as support. Most of the people here, actually physical activity have worked for them, as whether it's sports or gym. I personally go to the gym and it has worked for me marvelous ways. I used to do volleyball, it worked for me, and at some point I was like, oh, let me try gym, and I started gym and it still works for me beautifully. So physical activity, very important. Be accountable to yourself and to the people around you, very important. And allow yourself to feel your emotions. Don't say no. You bottle it. Don't bottle it up. If you're feeling sad, feel the sadness. If you feel like crying, cry. Even if you are not yet comfortable crying in front of people, cry in your room. But allow yourself to actually feel and express the emotions. And then the last thing. Oh no! Before that, avoid taking action when you are in that stressful situation, because you're gonna end up doing something that you would regret for the rest of your life. And don't overthink it. I know I'm an overthinker, I think, but I'm really taking this, I'm gonna really take this, try not to overthink, even as much as difficult it is. If that means doing something else that then prevents you from overthinking, do that other thing. And true. And the last thing is, fake it till you make it. You fake it. If you're even stressed, try to smile. He said, smile, drink water. The water will help. Then you fake it, try smiling, try laughing.
It's hard to be sad when you're smiling.
Exactly.
Really.
And eating food. I think, drinking water is important, because I realize that I can't cry when I'm eating. When I put food in my, you can't chew food when you're crying.
Don't turn it into a coping mechanism. don't start eating your feelings away. Bas.
But at least drink water. Oh yeah, because if you're eating, you might end up overeating. But if you drink water, it's not harmful, so that's fine.
You are crying. You have to dehydrate.
Hydrate yourself. Okay, so that's it for us today, and thank you so much to Martin. We have Anthony from Kenya, Martin from Ghana, we have Sabata from Zimbabwe, and we have Gift from Nigeria. And I'm Mabila from Ghana, and I was your host for today's discussion. It's been a wonderful one. I hope you learned some things, and if you're a lady listening to this, you also learned some things, and you are also going to share this video with the men in your life. And if you're a man, you will share it also with the men in your life, and even all the women in your life. Everybody needs to hear this information because it's really key to all of us. Like, I personally learned a lot that I can use to help like build a safe space for men, and even like also just any gender at all. You get what I'm saying? So this is very important to everyone. So thank you much for being here today. Until next time, stay safe and have a good time.
One
Bye.
Africa, one people.